Brews Bets. My name is Steve Ricciardi. With me, as always, is Tyler Beard. Tyler, how we doing?
A little bit under the weather today, but ready for the fight card.
There we go. With us, as always, again, is CG, Chris Gray. How we doing, sir?
We're doing good, man. I got back in the win column this past weekend. My underdog plays have been on fire going back the last 3 weeks. Not very enthused about UFC 237. Don't really like the card, but hey, it's fight, so let's do this.
Yeah, this is usually your home away from home once a week, CG.
This is, but God, this card to me is just shitty for a pay-per-view. That's all. Oh, I'm not allowed to. Okay. Crappy, very crappy for a pay-per-view.
We're going to get demonetized. And our guest this week is Travis Clark. Trav, how we doing? Divine Prodigy on Twitter, if anyone wants to follow.
Yeah, how we doing? I'm just excited to make my debut. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm excited to share my opinion with some of the three best minds, at least that I respect in the MMA community. So thank you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and Trav, by the way, just because you're on, that means you still have to watch. We still need your view this week, buddy.
Let's have Trev on the show more often.
Yeah. All right, so this week we have a little special offering for everybody. I got this Canelo shirt from the fight in Vegas and a Canelo hat that we're going to give away, but we're not going to put it on Twitter or anything. We're only going to put it for people who actually watch the show. So if you want the Canelo hat and shirt, let's have you on YouTube just post Canelo. Just respond to the show if you want to say anything else, but leave us a comment of Canelo with whatever you want to say, and you'll be entered in to try to win that. And then we also have a promo video for one of our Eat Clean Bro giveaways also. All right, so if you want to enter that, that'll be a Twitter giveaway, and we'll tweet that out as soon as the show gets tweeted out. So if you tweet out the show link with that Twitter video, you can enter in for a $50 gift card to Eat Clean Bro, 2 pens, and the water jug. It's basically this right here. Ty, let's get going here. We have UFC 237. It's a great card in Brazil, even though CG doesn't agree. First fight here is Talita Bernardo and Melissa Gatto. Again, I think we know a little bit about Bernardo. We don't know a ton about Gatto. My bookie has Bernardo as a minus 460 favorite. So it's a big line here. We got to find out if she's a parlay piece. Are you on Gatto, who on my bookie is plus 335? What do you think, Ty?
Yeah, so we do know about Bernardo, and what we do know is that she's not that really that good of a fighter in any aspect. She goes pretty aggressive for takedowns when she wants to. She's not very good on the feet. She looked good versus Sarah Moraes, but really, I mean, anybody that's decent level, she struggles against. So I'm having trouble understanding why she's such a big favorite. Melissa Gatto has taken the fight on short notice. She's really good on the ground from what I've seen in the limited sample size. At plus over 400, I mean, I think that she's a pretty live dog. She's not really going against top-level competition. I'm not that confident in it, but, I mean, I wouldn't mind making a small play just because of the odds and potential.
Small play straight up or as a parlay piece here? Straight
up. I don't parlay big underdogs.
Okay. All right. Trav, what do you think here? Any bets you like on this?
No, I actually think that Bernardo probably would be a parlay piece, if anything here. I think we like Ty was saying, Bernardo isn't exactly top UFC competitor. However, in this case, it's the matchup here, and the matchup against some Gatto's defensive wrestling is terrible, and we know that though Bernardo is pretty one-dimensional, is where she's a good just a wrestler pretty much. Her top game usually is pretty stifling, and I just think that in this match, Gatto, who's wrestling, is porous. It pretty much equals just rinse and repeat takedowns, or unless Bernardo finds a submission. So, I mean, like I said, Gatto, I don't think is UFC caliber, and you can make the case that Bernardo isn't either. However, like I said, the matchup here, it's in Brazil. She's taking it on, Gatto's taking it on short notice, and Bernardo is that one-dimensional wrestler, and she's going to pretty much take her down at will. And I think either if it's not grinding out a decision, it'll be sorry, did you lose me? Did you lose me?
Yeah, you're coming in and out, Trav.
Yeah, something happened on my end. I'm sorry, but I said if it'll be a rinse and repeat takedown or submission, pretty much, because I think the defensive wrestling of Gatto was just so terrible.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think the only issue with Gatto is she may be a little dangerous on her back. She did grab that armbar in her last fight. But CG, what do you think here? You like anything for a bet?
I'm in agreement with Trav. Bernardo scored at least one takedown in all 3 of her UFC fights. She had 6 advances in her last fight against Sarah Moraes. And Gatto is susceptible to the takedown. And I like Bernardo for the win. But you know how I feel about betting for or against first-time UFC fighters. So I'm not going to make Bernardo a parlay piece. And this fight's going to be a pass for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at the line. If it's anything for me, I think it's a parlay piece. I agree with Trav that. But again, I don't really trust Bernardo all that much, to be honest with you either. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I just kind of want to reiterate the point that I think Bernardo is going to win the fight. The only reason I'm making a small play on Gatto is because the line is ridiculous. Bernardo is not a good enough fighter to be almost minus 600.
No, definitely that. Trav, Raoni Barcelos and Carlos Quiroz, I believe, isn't it Quiroz? I think he's from Peru. Quiroz. Again, we haven't seen him all that much. Right now, Barcelos on my bookie is minus 530, and Quiroz is plus 380 on my bookie. So this is 2 big lines to start off the card. Break this down for us, Trav. What do you think?
This shouldn't be too hard to break down. This Carlos guy is coming in on short notice. I believe the original fight was Barcelos versus Said Nurmagomedov, and that would have been a fight we could have definitely talked something about. But Carlos is, I believe, he's coming out of the same camp that's brought you the UFC prospects of Jesus Pinedo and Claudio Puelles. So yeah, if they're not that actually good. So you have Raoni Barcelos, who should pretty much win this any way he wants. If he wants to stand up and do it, he can do it. If he wants to take him down and submit him, he should do it. I think this is probably the biggest mismatch on the card, similar to Nordine Taleb and Kyle Prepelec from last week. But this fight is just what it is, pretty much. I mean, they had to bring in someone after Said backed out, and Carlos is the unlucky guy here. But this, I think Barcelos is definitely a parlay piece and shouldn't be too much thought about it, actually.
Yeah, I think a parlay piece. CG, what do you think here? Are you throwing this in one of your crazy 5-leg parlays this week?
I know I said I don't like betting for or against first-time UFC fighters, except if you're a regional Peruvian fighter who's accepting a fight on 1 week notice against somebody that lands almost 6 strikes per minute and 4 takedowns per fight. I've been on the Barcelos bandwagon for a long time now. This guy's very well-rounded. I think he cruises in this fight, and I will be betting on Barcelos in a parlay this week for sure.
Ty, you following CG? You going straight? You're straight.
Yeah, I mean the level of competition that Carlos has faced is just not near UFC level. The only reason he's getting this fight is because it's on 10 days notice. It's in South America. He got the call. Really, outside of a puncher's chance, he really doesn't have much of a shot here.
Yeah, I didn't put the parlay in or check it out at all, but not for nothing. Barcelos and Bernardo to start this card. Maybe throw a few $100 on that parlay. That's not a bad way to make a couple bucks and then spread that money around the rest of the card.
I'd recommend not doing that on Bernardo.
No? You don't like it that much?
Nah. Dude, you can't be taking Bernardo for minus 600 even in a parlay.
No, listen, I'm not saying it's a great play. I think the line will come down a little bit. Some people will throw some money the other way.
I don't know. The Gatto is a real submission threat, and I'm not convinced on Bernardo. So I would recommend not doing that parlay.
All right, we'll stay away.
Save you a few hundred for later on in the card.
Yeah, definitely. All right, CJ, here's our first actual UFC fight on this card, I think. Warlley Alves and Sergio Moraes. This is a fight that I'm looking forward to. I think there's going to be two-way action on this line. Alves on my bookie is minus 150. Moraes on my bookie is plus 120. And I could see this going off, closer to a pick'em. But CG, what do you think here? Break this down.
I think this is going to be a snooze fest. Alves and Moraes have a similar fight stats, around 2.5 strikes per minute, about 1.3 takedowns per 15 minutes. But what it comes down to is you cannot trust fighters that don't have a gas tank, and Alves does not have a gas tank. Plus, he just got knocked out by James Krause in his last fight. So it's a very close fight. I have to side with the underdog. Moraes is always competitive in his fights. And I don't know if it was his last fight in Brazil, but I know he definitely fought Tim Means in Brazil. I thought he lost the fight.
Yeah, he did.
I thought it was fairly obvious, and they still gave him the nod, but now he's fighting another Brazilian. So, but yeah, I think Moraes has, I think they're both black belts, but Moraes is probably the superior grappler. Alves has more punching power, but God, they're so similar, and we know Moraes can, fight at a decent pace for 15 minutes, so I have to side with him, although I don't feel confident enough to place a bet on him.
Yeah, Alves did gas a little bit against James Krause in that last fight, right?
And Barberina, and
every
Usman.
fight.
Yeah, he gasses every fight.
Go ahead, Trav. You're in agreement there. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely. I think at least betting wise, I would be more so on the side of Sergio Moraes. Like Chris said, you can't really trust the guy who gasses every fight. Warlley Alves will come out strong that first round, but close to the mid-second round, he'll tail off. And if anything, we know that Sergio Moraes has a bit of pop in his hands. He's not afraid to throw wildly because his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is just that good. I would think maybe on the ground, maybe in this case, it may be an equal or wash, but I maybe still give that to Sergio Moraes. He's been doing it so long. But like I said, once someone falls off and his gas tank is off, it's going to be all Sergio Moraes pretty much. I think he will actually take him down, and I actually think maybe a play on the fight doesn't go to decision. Might be a little sneaky. I think Sergio Moraes could lock in a submission or something like that once that gas tank does take effect on Warlley Alves, and he goes down to the ground.
Yeah, CG, as I throw it to Ty, can you check that inside the distance prop?
Yes.
I'm just on a different screen right now. I can't get to it.
Yes.
Ty, what do you think here on Warlley Alves and Sergio Moraes?
Yeah, so like both guys said, they're pretty much similar fighters. I'm actually siding with Alves, though. I'm not going to make a play on it. I think this is a terrible fight. Both fighters just don't really excite me. But I think that Alves has the better wrestling, at least defensively. And so I think that if anybody's going to get it to the ground, it's going to be him, and he's going to be in top control. And so in a fight that I think they're very similar, I'm kind of going to side with that guy, and that guy for me is Warlley Alves. But I won't be making a play on it.
Fight doesn't go to decision, plus 125. Moraes wins inside the distance, plus 366. Alves wins inside the distance, plus 275.
It's not a bad play there.
It's a little sneaky, just a little sneaky.
I mean, if you like the line, it's definitely playable, straight up.
On a side note, these Mind Haze IPAs, I don't know if you guys have ever tried those. They're fantastic.
Is that what you drink
out of
the weather? Is it like NyQuil?
No, NyQuil's later tonight.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Ty, have you ever had a Molson Canadian?
Nah, I haven't. But bring some to Reno when we
bring some to Reno. Take him through customs.
All right. So just for a play there, if I'm going to play anyone, I'm going to play Moraes. But I do like that inside the distance line that Trav mentioned. So this next fight on the card is Priscila Cachoeira. My bookie, she's plus 140. Luana Carolina, my bookie is minus 170. I'll take this one to start and then throw it to you guys. Cachoeira is best known for being the one who got mentally, physically, emotionally destroyed against Valentina. That was a beating for the ages. I'm not really sure why it lasted as long as it did. But with that being said, I thought that she held her own against Molly McCann. She struck with her. She won one round. Actually, Molly McCann, she put a beating on Molly McCann's eye. That eye looked like it was going to pop out of the socket. She threw hard punches at McCann. She'll exchange in the pocket. She took her down once, or tried to. I don't know if she actually got credit for it, but she tried to take her down once. But she did get outstruck by about 25, significant strikes. For the most part, though, Carolina, I don't know if she has much pop in her hands. It didn't look like it in her Contender Series fight with, what was her name? Mabeli Lima. That was her name. That was at 135 pounds. But again, those fights in the Brazil scene, the Brazil Tuesday Night Contender Series, a lot of those fighters fight up. I think a lot of times it's on short notice. I don't know if this one was or it wasn't, but this fight was at 135. She looks smaller, but she's a striker. The only difference here is she's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. So if it comes down to a volume striking, Cachoeira may have a tough time getting inside the pocket. But for the most point, I think this is more or less a pick'em fight, but I want nothing to do with it. Again, where's the value? Maybe on Cachoeira, she does have some UFC experience, but I don't think I trust either one of these. So Ty, let me throw it right back to you. What do you think here?
What did you say the current line is?
Carolina on my bookie is minus 170, and Cachoeira is plus 140.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually be playing a pretty sizable bet on Carolina. I think that she's a really good fighter coming out of Brazil. I was impressed by her Dana White Contender Series fight in the aspect that I seen. She has good hands. She has good Muay Thai. I don't think that she's gonna finish, but I think that she's going to hit her at will. Cachoeira does not have good defense, and I think that she's just going to pick her apart and route to an easy decision.
All right, Trav, what do you think there?
I actually would agree. I would think that Luana is going to win. From the tape I've seen, she looks like a dollar menu Jermaine Durand to me. When she strikes, but I mean, I think honestly, this might be Priscila Cachoeira's. If there was any fight she's going to win, it would probably be this one. But like I said, she's so far she's been known as a punching bag. She's very tough. She's very durable. Put up a fight against Molly McCann. I think if Priscila Cachoeira had was more of a wrestler, she'd probably have a chance in that Luana Carolina fight against Mabeli Lima. Lima got her down a few times, so I mean, I guess that's pretty much kind of what happens when you're a tall fighter. But at the end of the day, you probably can't trust it. Like I said, you either pass, or if you want to be a degenerate, you can make a play on the dog. Or if you got the read like Tyler has, you can make a play on Luana Carolina. But me personally, I would pass. But I think Carolina wins it. But I think you shouldn't be surprised if Cachoeira can win this one fight. I mean, she's had fights against Shevchenko and then Molly McCann. This might be the UFC maybe throwing her a bone. But then again, Carolina's from Brazil too, so you can't be too sure on that. So seems like she's a stepping stone at least. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about degenerates, I think there's going to be plenty watching this video. But CG, what do you think here? 5-leg parlay? Do you throw anyone in here?
Okay. No, absolutely not. I'm not impressed with either one of these girls. I mean, Priscilla's best attribute is her toughness. I mean, she's got cardio. She could fight at a decent pace for 15 minutes. It actually looked like she was wearing down Molly McCann at the end of that fight. And Priscilla had more left in the tank. But, Priscilla averages 3.2 strikes per minute. She has never scored a takedown in the UFC. Shevchenko almost took her life in that octagon. Mario Yamasaki should go to prison for allowing that fight to continue. But Luana Carolina, I was not impressed with her on her fight on the Contender Series. I just didn't think she was that good. I felt like it was a very wild, sloppy fight. But one thing that she does have is volume. She lands almost 6 strikes per minute. So I think that's her path to victory. Striking-based decision. And she'll probably get it, but I don't feel confident enough in her to bet it. But, I mean, if you're forcing me to bet this fight, it would be Carolina. And we all know how tough Priscilla is. So I don't think Carolina by decision is a terrible bet.
That's not a bad play at all. This next fight is Clay Guida and BJ Penn. Guys, I'll take this one just to get this one done, and then I'll throw it back to you. Ty actually told me earlier in the week, like, I don't even need to watch tape on this one. It's so bad, right, Ty? This is one of the ones you
yeah, BJ Penn's not winning next fight.
And again, let's just talk about this one thing. Does this fight finish? Because I think BJ Penn's gas tank is pretty bad. Even against Dennis Seaver, which was, I believe, 2 years ago. He gassed out after dropping Seaver in round 2. In round 3, he basically couldn't even rally or anything against Guida. And we all know what Guida's gas tank is going to look like. So I don't know if BJ Penn doesn't finish him in round 1. I don't think he has a chance of even getting to round 3, to be honest with you. But I think this is a Guida play, not playing that line, maybe inside the distance. But I think Guida gets him inside the distance. Trav, I see you shaking your head. So what do you think?
Yeah, BJ Penn shouldn't be fighting. BJ Penn shouldn't be fighting. Your question of the only question here that would matter, I think, for bettors out there is will Clay Guida get the finish? And I lean more so on the side of yes, I do. The pace, the cardio, it would just be too much for BJ. Like we're all in agreement, he shouldn't be fighting here. I think Clay Guida is a parlay piece outside of a Hail Mary submission, probably by BJ Penn, but we don't have to really spend too much time on here. BJ Penn should retire after this fight. Will he retire? Probably not. So, but Clay Guida by rabbit bunny humping or something like that. He's gonna just take him down and just pound him out. That's it.
I like that. I want to see if we can get a line in that. CG, any sharp plays for this?
Not at all. So, I mean, BJ Penn is old, deranged, and just completely nuts at this point. And after the recent accusations from his wife, my God, the last time this guy won a fight was 2010 at the Palace of Auburn Hills in Michigan, and I was at it. And that was a long ass time ago. He hasn't won another fight in almost a decade. But the thing is, and I'm not saying he's going to win, they're feeding him somebody that's been finished 11 times and subbed 9 times. I can't trust Penn, and I don't think it's worth betting on Guida at that line. So this fight is a pass for me.
Okay, and that makes total sense. Tyler, I'm gonna send you this next fight. This is Irene Aldana and Bethe Correia. Aldana on my bookie is minus 280. Correia is plus 230. What do you think here? What's your play?
So this is another fight that I actually told you that you didn't have to tape study.
Well, that's why I figured you had to call me.
Yeah, Aldana is going to piece her up. The Bethe Correia is, I mean, she's a punching bag that punches back. Terrible fighter. She's not going to get her to the ground. Bethe Correia is going to try to brawl. Aldana is going to work her technique, cut angles, and she's just going to destroy her. What's the current odds on this fight?
Aldana's minus 2.
Yeah. I mean, I hate betting on favorites over minus 200 straight, but this one is pretty much a sure thing. I'm going to have her in every parlay. I just don't see a way that she loses the fight. And Correia is a brawler that doesn't really even have much power. So I see zero threat here.
She also has most of her weight is in her ass, by the way. She likes to shake that thing.
Yeah, but
so I mean, take it for what that's worth.
Yeah, but then you look at her face and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Not at all. This is true. So Trav, what do you think here? Any plays?
I think this fight is a pass. I just can't trust Irene Aldana's gas tank, and I wish I could. As much as people are on Irene Aldana, and for good reason, I just think like I said, I think Bethe Correia is pretty crafty. She's a veteran. I don't think she's that good, but like I said, when you have a limited gas tank or have shown to be prone to gassing, such as Irene Aldana has shown, it's just when you're putting that money on the line, it just gets a little dicey. And I just I'm going with Irene to win, but I would say proceed with caution. And that, of course, Bethe Correia is not just going to lay there and take the punches. But this is a woman who got knocked out by Ronda Rousey. So I don't know. It might not even make it to the point where Irene Aldana's gas tank is an issue. So, but I'm just saying, if it does make it to that point, then you might be sweating, because Bethe Correia, she's just a veteran. That's it. That's all I can say about her. That doesn't mean she's that good. So
I have a question for you guys. Yeah. So they were supposed to fight in August of last year.
Correct.
And Correia didn't get medically cleared. Do we know why?
I do not know why.
I have no knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah, I know she hasn't fought in 2 years at this point. After the Holly Holm, right?
Yeah.
That knocked her out.
Yeah, because this fight was supposed to happen last August, and she didn't get medically cleared, but I didn't find out why.
That's something to look into too.
I don't even really think it matters. She's just far inferior.
Yeah, just to know though. CG, what do you think here?
Reading this article on BJ Penn, sorry to go off topic, but apparently, according to his wife, he was trying to get other dudes to bang his wife. My God. This guy should not be fighting. The CTE is taking over his damn life. Okay, back to Aldana and Bethe. I like Aldana. Volume and pace. That's what I'm always looking for. Aldana, 6.4 strikes per minute. I know, Trev, you made a comment that she has the tendency to gas out. I haven't noticed it as much. She landed over 100 significant strikes in her last fight against Pudilova. And Bethe is just, she's just not very skilled. She's tough and she's nasty, but I don't think she's that good of a fighter. Huh? I think Pudilova is better than Bethe. You don't think?
I don't know. I mean, they both average to me. I was just asking to see what you think.
I think I think Pudilova is better, and I think Aldana cruises in this fight. Volume's on her side. Not to mention she's 5'9", 68-inch reach. She's going to have a 4-inch height and reach advantage. Whenever Aldana's fighting, I usually place a bet, and at least play her on DraftKings. But I think she cruises in this fight, and she's going to be a piece in one of my parlays for sure. I love Aldana.
Hey, CG, I have one question for you. You said that Bethe was tough. What fight have we seen her be tough in?
That fight with Jessica Eye, that was kind of a war.
But I was up in weight, and she hasn't really shown power at that weight class. Everybody that's touched her with any power, Correia has just folded.
I mean, she's been in a couple wars. Yeah, but the thing is, Aldana doesn't really have knockout power, though. She's more of a point fighter. I'm not worried about that in this fight. No,
yeah, and she's going to have a huge reach advantage, too. So.
I guess what I was saying is, Bethe isn't like a very skilled fighter. She's just kind of a grimy brawler. She's not a finesse fighter. Yeah. So, and then, come on. Holm kicked her in the damn head. That was pretty brutal. So, but I get what you're saying. Noted.
Yeah, I like her playing Aldana here. She's going to be one of my parlay pieces for sure. Trav, we're going to throw you this fight. I think this is going to be a pretty good one. Thiago Moises and Kurt Holobaugh. Moises on my bookie is -140. Holobaugh on my bookie is +110. He gave Shane Burgos everything he could handle. Unfortunately, Shane was able to grab that arm. But what do you think there, Trav?
Yeah, that fight was a bit of poor fight IQ by Kurt Holobaugh. You could tell he knew it after the fight. I think this fight is probably dog or pass. Thiago Moises is a skilled fighter. However, he had a tough first task in Beneil Dariush, especially Beneil Dariush was trying to prove his doubters wrong. Pretty much took him to town in that fight. But this fight clearly is a striker versus grappler type of thing. So I think with this, you look at, can Kurt Holobaugh defend those takedowns if Thiago Moises was to attempt to take them? And for that fight, at least for me, I look back at the Andre Harrison fight that Kurt Holobaugh had, and Andre Harrison, who was at least a credential wrestler, had a hard time controlling Kurt Holobaugh. We know that Kurt Holobaugh can push a pace and strike, and I don't know if Thiago Moises is. First of all, I know he's not as good of a wrestler as probably Andre Harrison, but I don't think Thiago Moises can control, or probably even has the wrestling to get the fight to the ground, which is probably which is where he would want it, because standing with Kurt Holobaugh isn't going to end bad for him, so isn't going to end good for him. So I think it's dog or pass. I like Kurt Holobaugh as a play. I would play him straight, wouldn't do no parlays or nothing like that. But I think Kurt Holobaugh finally gets a win. And at least since his comeback to the UFC, he's had a few tough first outs, but I think he actually gets it done here with his striking and the pace.
Ty, I'm interested to hear your take on this, because I remember talking to you about Moises when we broke this down for DraftKings back when he fought Beneil Dariush. He had a pretty good showing in that Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series fight. I believe that was the Brazil card, and it was very short notice. Didn't he come in on 7 days notice for that fight?
Yeah, so with the Dariush fight, I'm pretty sure that I was on Moises in that fight. just based off we didn't know what Dariush brought to the table.
I think we all.
And yeah, and I mean he looked so terrible in his last few. I thought that would be Moises was going to kind of burst out on the scene, but in this fight, man, Holobaugh is going back up to 155.
Forgot to mention that.
He's looked good at 155. He's fought terrible at 145. So I kind of think this is the weight class he's supposed to be in. At the current odds, I don't mind making a small play on him. I think that he could kind of stay out of danger, and pretty much I think he's going to have the advantage in this fight. I think Dariush laid out a game plan to beat him, and Holobaugh can ride that same game plan.
CG, what do you think? Any plays here?
Well, my Italian brother, I know you like to get on me about making these high-risk parlay bets, but I'll tell you what, I'm way more responsible than you give me credit for. I think this is going to be a fantastic fight. Moises can crack. He landed a couple hard punches on Dariush and, had him wobbled a couple times. And you look at Holobaugh, he's 0-2 in his last 2 UFC fights, but, Burgos, Barcelos, those are 2 killers in my opinion. So he lands over 5 strikes per minute. He's a tough guy. We just don't know enough about Moises and whether or not he can compete at this level because Dariush just took him down and dry humped him to death in that last fight. So I don't have enough guts to play this either way. Based on what I've seen, if you were to force me to bet, I think I would bet on the underdog Holobaugh in this fight. But I'll tell you what, I think this fight is going to be action-packed, and I would not be surprised if it ended inside the distance. And the current odds on that are fight doesn't go to decision, -125. So Vegas thinks it's going to end inside the distance.
I actually like that play. I didn't even consider it until you said it, but I did right on the top. I think this fight is going to finish. Moises can really bang.
He can crack. He really can.
In that Tuesday night contender series Brazil fight, I was very impressed with him. I think Ty and I were in agreement. We were both playing him in DraftKings when he fought Dariush. And unfortunately, he didn't really have a chance to show that striking because Dariush, I think he touched him up early, like you said, CG. And then from there on in, Dariush wasn't messing around. He was taking him to the ground. And like you said, he just ragdolled him on the ground. These guys, I think, are going to bang. Holobaugh is going to bang. He has no problem doing that. And I was very impressed with how he was able to drop Shane Burgos in that last fight. Again, Trav, you're absolutely right. He knew right away because he was shaking his head when he got caught in that armbar, and it was quick too. Burgos, he recovered though, so I can understand how it happened. But I think this is gonna finish, and I'd rather play that than play either one of these guys because I think we're gonna see something. I think we're gonna see a hell of a fight within 2 rounds. I don't even think it gets to round 3. But CG, let me throw this next fight to you. We have Nogueira, Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. On my bookie is +108. It's a little bit of a weird line here. And Ryan Spann on my bookie is -138. If you guys are interested at all in narrative, ESPN has an article about Ryan Spann's, I guess it was his first contender series fight. He had 2 of them. And in that first fight, he lost to Jersey boy, Carl Robeson, and basically suffered from severe depression after that. So, I kind of want him to get a win here, which is exactly why I'm probably not going to play this fight. But CG, what do you think here?
Sucks to hear that. This is my Jesus, man. You completely took the wind out of my sails, man. I was just about to bet against the guy, for Christ's sake. But this is my hot take, man. I like Rogerio. I know he's old as dirt. I think he's listed at yeah. Is he seriously 42 years old?
Yeah, I wrote down 42.
Yeah, 42, but he's probably every bit of 53. But he's been looking pretty good in his last couple of fights. Knocked out Pat Cummins, then, absorbed a life-changing beating against Ryan Bader, but then came back and knocked out Sam Alvey. So one thing about Ryan Spann, you look at the guy, he's chiseled, he's 6'5", 205 pounds, has an 81-inch reach, but 10 of his 15 wins are via submission. He has a really good guillotine, but he's going against Nogueira, who in over 30 professional fights has never been submitted. And Rogerio is the more technical boxer. So if the fight remains standing, I give the edge to Rogerio. And is Spann really going to submit Nogueira? I don't think so. So, I mean, the old man Nogueira is making a little bit of a resurgence here. I like Nogueira. I'm not going to place a bet. I will play him in DraftKings, but I like Rogerio.
I'm going to tell you two things that I saw in my tape study, and then Ty, I'm going to throw it to you. If you watch the Sam Alvey fight, I'm pretty sure Sam Alvey hit him with 2 shots in that first round and didn't follow up on either one. I'm not sure what Sam Alvey was thinking, if he realized he hurt him, but Nogueira backed off twice in that first round. So I got to think that Alvey stung him. The second thing, if you go to the Ryan Spann Luis Henrique fight, in the very last 10 seconds of that fight, they kind of went after it. And I'm pretty sure Henrique almost knocked Ryan Spann out. If you look at his face at the end of that fight, he walked over to the cage, put his hands up on the cage. I don't think he even knew where the hell he was. So, if that fight went another 10 seconds, he probably gets finished and loses to Luis Henrique in that fight. Go back and let me know what you think. But that's my breakdown for this. I really don't want to make a play because I think it may go to decision, and I don't want to bet against Nogueira in Brazil. But I do like Ryan Spann in this fight. But I just think it's a bad play betting wise. So who did I say? Tyler, go ahead. Ty, what do you think?
Yeah. So in the last 8 years, Nogueira has only beaten Rashad Evans, Patrick Cummins, and Sam Alvey. Not really the greatest of lists. And Alvey should have beat him. He had him rocked. That should have been a loss also. I think Ryan Spann is a really good fighter. I think he's an up-and-comer. And I kind of think that the UFC is throwing this to Spann to get him a win over a big name in Brazil. And I know CG said that Nogueira is the better technical boxer, which I do agree, but I think Spann is faster. And as long as he's going to cut his angles, stay on his bike, and pick him apart, I think that he could do that because Nogueira has slowed down tremendously, and he doesn't have the chin that he once does. I think that Spann is the more dynamic of the two, and I'm kind of leaning towards Spann. I don't really know how he's going to win it. I'm not really convinced on Nogueira's chin, but Spann doesn't. In order to win this fight, he's probably not going to have to knock him out. He's probably going to have to work a strategic strategy and kind of pinpoint decision.
Trav, what do you think here?
I'm with Chris. Actually, I think the play is Little Nog. I think you bet Little Nog too. He's always had the better hands between the two brothers. I think here he's definitely the more technical and superior boxer, which already pointed out. But if you go back to that Henrique fight with Ryan Spann, I think the number one issue here that played into this fight was that Henrique pretty much took Ryan Spann down at will. Anytime Henrique shot on one of those, actually it was very well timed takedowns. Whenever Ryan Spann would overextend on his punches, which I think could probably be the case here, depending on if Little Nog still has any type of, I guess, speed left or anything to attempt to take down. I think it can happen. But, one thing with these Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys, especially one as old as Little Nog, they're crafty. They're tricky. They know lots of tips and tricks, and they're experienced from those ground scrambles, or they know how to at least get the fight to the ground, whether with a trip or anything like that, and put it in their favor. So I think that when you're standing up, I think it might be, let's say if it is a wash from the feet, but I think, like I said, I give that lean more so to Little Nog. And I think, like I said, with Ryan Spann, his takedown defense isn't exactly up to snuff, whether it's up against the cage or if he throws one of those overextended punches and Little Nog capitalizes on that and takes him to the ground. And I think Little Nog can pull off a submission here. I think when it gets down to that ground, Ryan Spann's his jiu-jitsu won't compare to Little Nog's, and I just see it pretty much. The only thing we're going against Little Nog here is age. Other than that, I think Little Nog has the advantages on the feet and on the ground. Plus, he'll have that Brazilian energy flowing through him. So I know while Ty thinks that they're probably throwing Ryan Spann a bone to give him a bone to give him a name, I think they're throwing Ryan Spann to Little Nog to get him a win here in Brazil. And I know you mentioned that article about the whole depression after the Carl Roberson loss, but he's had what he got 2 victories in LFA. He came to UFC, then he beat Sorty, and then the other guy he beat last fight. So I mean, he should be over that by now. It's time for another L. I think Little Nog takes it.
Yes, Spann is also going to have a 6-inch reach advantage on the feet.
Yeah.
Speed
I think that takedown defense, I think, is going to come into play here. It was terrible in that Henrique fight. Henrique got at least 5 or 6 takedowns. It's crazy.
Yeah, he got 4 takedowns, and I considered that, but Nog doesn't really go for many takedowns, and he averages 0.4 takedowns a fight. He gets it only at about 40%. I'm not really too worried about that. Sorry to cut you off, but
no,
like,
you're good.
yeah, no. I'm not really too worried about the takedown. I think it's gonna be boxing. The only thing that I'm concerned about in backing Spann is when he shot in on Roberson and he got elbowed. I mean, it showed a fight IQ dump, and when he brawled it out versus Henrique, it showed the same thing. So I'm a little bit concerned about his fight IQ going up against such a veteran. Mm-hmm. But I think that if it's boxing, he can use the speed and the length if he stays smart, to win the decision.
If it's close, though, if it's a closely contested 3-round bout, it's not going to Spann's way. They're going to give it a Little Nog.
Yeah, and that's a factor too. And it's probably going to lead me away from betting on it, or maybe a small play. But I think Spann's going to win the fight.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Tyler, to be honest with you. I really like Spann more, but I don't want to mess around with that decision in Brazil, because Little Nog is not losing a decision in Brazil, and I would hate to lose a bet like that. One thing before we go to this next fight, I just want to tease on Thursday. I'm going to be doing an interview with Rafael Esparza, who sets the lines for my bookie. So it'll just be me and him. We'll talk about my bookie, the lines, and everything. And he actually gave me the line today when I was talking to him for DC and Stipe. You guys have any idea what that line's going to open up at? Who's going to be the favorite there?
Minus 220, Daniel Cormier.
Cormier minus 220. Go ahead, Tyler.
I'd say Stipe is probably going to be minus 120-ish. It's going to be close to even.
CJ, I see you looking up. You're thinking way too hard here. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm more aligned with Ty on this one. Let's go. God, this might be like a pick 'em right off the bat, honestly. I mean,
that being said, I think
the first round of the last fight, but then Cormier's 40 years old and was going to a money fight. Yeah, Stipe might be the favorite actually still, because Stipe was at almost minus 300 in the last fight.
Stipe was winning the fight until the knockout.
Yeah, I like Stipe. That's my guy.
Yeah, I think Cormier is going to win again, but I think Stipe was winning the fight at the point of the knockout.
So I'll give you my play. I really thought it was going to be a pick'em. So when CG said pick'em originally, I really thought it would be a pick'em at this point. He's going to open it at DC minus 165.
Woo!
So Trav, I guess you were a little bit closer.
A little bit closer.
Again, that could change, but that's what he said that he's opening at. So we'll see what happens there. He also had a line: who will Cowboy fight next? Who do you guys think Cowboy's going to fight next? Donald Cerrone.
Justin Gaethje.
Gaethje?
Isn't Gaethje fighting Anthony Pettis?
I didn't hear that.
Let me check.
Is that scheduled?
I think he is.
He's going to kill Pettis. He's going to kill Pettis.
I don't know why he's going to kill Pettis, but
he's going to kill Pettis.
Yeah, I would actually like to see him fight Gaethje. I wouldn't mind him fighting Nate Diaz again if Diaz wants to come back.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind Nate Diaz or Conor, to be honest with you, but I don't know.
Conor ain't coming back.
So I'm not a Conor fan by any means, and I think that if he fought Cowboy, Cowboy's going to knock him out. I mean, McGregor's going to knock Cowboy out if they fight.
I think that's the fight to make. I think that'd be a
shot.
What's that?
I said calling his shot.
No, I mean I'm a big Cowboy fan. I've met the guy a few times. Nice guy. I'm not a fan of Conor at all, and I think that Conor will knock him out. What I seen in the Iaquinta fight, Cowboy got hit a few times. If Conor hits him with those same shots, he's going out.
I agree with Ty on that one. I think it's a very bad matchup for Cowboy. Although what Cowboy's been able to do in his last 3 fights is nothing short of remarkable. I mean, what he did this last Saturday was incredible. What a freaking fight that was.
No, I would be rooting for Cowboy big time. I would be hardcore cheering for him, but I just think that Conor would knock him.
So what's going on with Ferguson right now? I mean, I know he's had some issues going on, similar to what I'm reading about BJ Penn. But
I think he's meeting with the UFC tomorrow to figure out what's next for him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Already.
I don't think he should be fighting anymore.
Yeah.
I think he has new management, and he already met with them, is what I read.
Then he just did it today, because I heard that he was going to Vegas to meet with them, and I thought it was tomorrow.
Yeah, you could. I mean, again, I'm suspended on Twitter right now, so
Yeah.
so I can't do anything.
I mean, the only fight to make right now at this point, you have to have Poirier and Khabib, and then it's got to be Gaethje and Cerrone. At this point, I mean, who knows what's going on with Kevin Lee? Is he going to stay at 170? But I think that's the fight that you have to make.
He's facing RDA next week, right? Kevin Lee?
Yeah, he is.
And that,
right now. Apparently, Pettis called him off, but Gaethje doesn't want it. That's what I'm reading right now.
interesting. Very
Yeah.
If I was Pettis, I would stay at 170. He looked pretty good in that fight.
Yeah, and he doesn't fight all that weight too. So
Yeah.
listen, Trav's looking for a fight at 170.
Yeah, throw him in there.
Oh, speechless! I love
In
it.
there. I gotta take baby steps, but then I'll make the most of it.
All right, let's get to this next fight. I'll introduce this one: Francisco Trinaldo and Diego Ferreira. Diego Ferreira. Let's see. He's a Fortis MMA guy. Saad Sayad. I guess he'll be in the corner 2 fights in a row, right? Because he's Ryan Spann is a Fortis MMA guy. Pretty interesting how well that camp has been doing recently. Again, Trinaldo's 40 years old. Ferreira's 34. Ferreira looks a lot better recently than he did when he tried to brawl it out with guys like Dustin Poirier, and Beneil Dariush. I think those were definitely the 2 best fighters. Both lefties also, by the way. Trinaldo's a lefty. So again, he kind of got outstruck by powerful lefties. Is Trinaldo still going to have the speed with that left hand to really put a hurting on Ferreira? He's 15-2. He's been great in the UFC, but guys with that left hand power have gotten to him. As long as he doesn't, kick him twice in the balls early in the fight like he did with Jared Gordon, and then knock him out. Basically, that actually was very slick. That he was able to trap his arm behind him and get him out of there on the ground. Again, both of these guys are going to be pretty good on the ground. The kickboxing of Trinaldo at range at that I think is going to be better. But my issue is Ferreira's going to swing wildly and then kind of clinch him up, push him against the cage, and he's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. And I think that's where Ferreira is going to win this fight. I want Trinaldo, but I think it's going to be Ferreira. I'm not putting any play here, but that's my breakdown. It's a very close fight. On my bookie, Ferreira's actually -170. Trinaldo's +140. So I think the value's on Trinaldo. But Trav, what do you think?
I think this fight is good matchmaking. I don't think, from a betting perspective, you could confidently put your money on any one person. There's been the report that Carlos Diego Ferreira struggles with southpaws. I mean, he beat OAM, but I don't know how much stock we put in the beating Ben Mercier anymore. But this fight, I really can't really call it. I mean, Francisco Trinaldo, they're both going to feed off the Brazilian energy. Trinaldo comes at you like a truck. He throws with reckless abandon, just like Carlos Diego Ferreira throws with reckless abandon. I don't think we'll actually see this hit the ground at all. I think this will probably be a stand-up war. I don't really know who's going to win. I don't know. I think if I have to lean, maybe just based off maybe the reach advantage you said, it would be Diego Ferreira, but it'll get dicey for both competitors at one point in that bout. And I guess I'm just gonna lean CDF, but it's a great fight. It's good matchmaking, and I don't really know which way. But like I said, from a betting perspective, I'm just staying away because I don't know. So
it's kind of 2 of us staying away from this fight.
I think you have to.
Yeah, I'm staying away too. I mean, I know CDF is in a hot streak right now, 3-fight winning streak. He's well-rounded. He can stand up and trade. He can take you down and sub you. The problem is if Trinaldo is able to keep this fight standing, even though CDF has considerably higher volume at 4.7 strikes per minute compared to Trinaldo's 3.3 strikes per minute. Trinaldo is a very skilled kickboxer. You know, Evan Dunham's as tough as they come, and he got him out of there in a second round, I believe, with the knee to the body.
That was a nasty.
So that was nasty. And if this fight remains standing, do you have any confidence that CDF will be able to stand and trade and beat Trinaldo in a 3-round kickboxing fight? I don't. So I don't want to. So another note that I had is I want to say Ferreira only has 2 takedowns in his last 7 fights. And I think they were against Kyle Nelson. So it's good that he has it in his back pocket. If he needs to use it, he will. And hopefully he does in this fight because, like I said, if he wants to stand and trade with Trinaldo, you know, Trinaldo could win a striking-based decision. I don't think Trinaldo is going to knock him out, but it's a dangerous fight for him, and I'm not willing to bet it.
Yeah, so he has those takedowns in his back pocket, but he only lands at a 23% clip on it. I don't think that's going to be his path to victory. For me, I think Trinaldo is going to win, but I'm not confident in this fight at all. I think that the fight going to decision at minus 230 is actually a pretty good play. I don't think either one of these guys are going to stop each other.
That's not a bad play.
I like that
play at all. Ty, I'm going to throw this next fight right back to you. Thiago Alves and Laureano Staropoli. Staropoli on my bookie is minus 123. It's one of those weird lines on my bookie. That'll probably even out as the week goes on. Thiago Alves is minus 107. What do you think here?
Man, so Thiago Alves is one of my favorite fighters of all time. He's just not the same fighter he used to be. I think that Staropoli has a power edge. He's aggressive. With the exception of him coming in reckless and getting clipped, I think that he's pretty much gonna destroy Alves in this fight. He's gonna have the size advantage. He's 10 years younger. Alves is way on the downside of his career, and I think Staropoli is gonna. I think he's gonna knock him out.
CG, what do you think here?
I like Staropoli a lot. Lands over 6.5 strikes per minute, and he goes for it. Hector Aldana is just a tough, grimy pocket boxer, and Staropoli took the fight to him. I want to say Aldana hit him with a few eye pokes just because he didn't know what else to do. He couldn't stand and trade with him. And Staropoli just kept on fighting. Another guy similar to Aldana, volume and pace, never stops fighting, always comes forward. I love fighters like that. Alves always has those leg kicks in his back pocket, and they're always a concern. But like Ty mentioned, I just don't know if his heart is in it anymore. He's on the wrong side of 30. And as a matter of fact, I mean, you know I hate this card, but if there's one thing I like about it, it makes me feel young. Look at some of these fighters. BJ Penn, Clay Guida, Nogueira, who's in the last Trinaldo, who's damn near 40. Thiago Alves is older than me. I'm 35. I'm like one of the younger dudes on this card, for Christ's sake. So, but yeah, I just don't think that Alves has it anymore. He's not the same fighter that he used to be. His last impressive performance was against Patrick Cote, who retired subsequently after the fight. So give me Staropoli. I don't know if he's going to finish Alves. Probably a striking-based decision. But I'll tell you what, I don't watch soccer because apparently there's this Messi guy who's from Argentina. But I think Staropoli is the greatest thing that's ever come out of Argentina. Ponzinibbio, I think, lives in Argentina, but I want to say he was born in Brazil. So if that's not the case, then I apologize.
No, there's this girl that kicks the soccer ball. I'll send her a clip. I'll send her a clip on Instagram to you. She's probably the best. But now, so before Trav goes, sorry to cut you off. The fight goes to decision right now is minus 215, and that I actually find that really surprising.
It is surprising.
Yeah.
I think they think Staropoli, like I do, is going to knock him out. But if he doesn't, I think Alves is going to win this decision. That's why, again, this is another fight that I'm worried about playing, only because I think Staropoli is going to win the fight. I think he can knock him out, but in Brazil, I don't want to touch it.
No, Vegas thinks it's going to a decision.
Yeah, it's
minus
215 for decision.
Yeah.
Oh, for decision. I thought you said inside the distance.
No.
No.
Yeah, that's surprising. Trav, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Staropoli is gonna take this handily. I know y'all worried. We're worried usually about these Brazilian judges and the Brazil fighters, but I think this fight will be too one-sided to even be worried about that. Alves, it's about that time to hang it up. He might have that energy and from the fans for that first round, but once Staropoli hits him with these punches, he throws bombs, and that fight against Hector Aldana, which there were people betting Aldana to beat Staropoli as well. Like I said, Staropoli, though he got hit on the face a few times, he proved some toughness. He kept that pace, he kept that aggression, and his cardio seemed like it checked out. And I don't think that Thiago Alves can handle a war again at this point. I think he takes him out. I think Staropoli takes him out. So if Vegas thinks it goes to decision minus 215, I think the play here would be inside the distance, or maybe a Staropoli by KO, TKO prop. I like Staropoli big here.
Yeah, and Alves, and if you look at Alves' last fight, I don't really think he should have beat Max Griffin in that decision.
No.
You're losing to Max Griffin.
He should have had 3 losses in a row after that fight coming into this.
He should be holding pads for Dustin Poirier at American Top Team.
That's
at this point.
That's probably what he should be doing. Trav, I'm going to throw it back to you. We got Jose Aldo Jr. is fighting Alexander Volkanovski. This is probably my favorite fight on this card. I really like Volkanovski. What him and Chad Mendes did in that last fight was nothing short of just unbelievable. And again, the weird part about it is Jose Aldo, with all his accolades, is only 32 years old. And he's talking about, maybe getting out of the sport in the next few years. He rebounded from the McGregor KO, 2 Max Holloway third-round finishes, and came back to beat Jeremy Stevens and Renato Moicano in big-time fashion. And Volkanovski, for the most part, he showed his toughness against Mendes and Elkins. But other than that, he didn't fight the best competition. So this is definitely the best fighter that Volkanovski has ever fought in a 3-round fight with him coming forward. How active is Aldo going to be in round 1? What do you think here, Trav?
I think this is a great fight. Probably one that has title aspirations, depending on who the winner, for both winners actually. But I know the big ordeal with this fight is the knee injury that Jose Aldo made public that could be bothering him coming to this fight. There's also a report that's saying he's only training about once a week, but I don't know how much stock you can put into that report. It wouldn't really make sense, especially with him weight cutting and stuff like that. Initially I was leaning Volkanovski because I figured that the pressure and the pace would just break Aldo down over 3 rounds. But now I think I'm more so leaning Aldo. One, because this isn't a 5-round fight. If it was a 5-round fight, maybe you go Volkanovski, but 3-round fight I think will favor Jose Aldo. I think Aldo is on a resurgence. We got to stop counting him out at this point. We wanted to count him out against Moicano. He decimated Moicano. Jeremy Stevens. There was some people thinking Jeremy Stevens was gonna beat him. Aldo put him out with a vicious body shot. Aldo can still do it. I think he's getting a bit of confidence back. That Stevens win put some pep in his step, and he's just been riding that momentum ever since. And the biggest comparison Volkanovski gets is to Chad Mendes. They're saying, okay, he's a better version of Chad Mendes. Well, you have a guy here in Jose Aldo who's already beat Chad Mendes twice. And the thing is, we haven't seen Volkanovski hit. So once Jose Aldo hits him or gives him one of those destructive leg kicks or hits him in the face or anything like that, how is Volkanovski going to react? And we really don't know that information. But I think that Jose Aldo is on too much of a streak here, momentum wise. He'll feel that crowd. I think I like Jose Aldo to take it, and I think most of the MMA Twitter, that community, I see them betting Volkanovski, and like I said, I can agree with why they would do it, but I don't think this is the spot. This is clearly the best fighter that Volkanovski has ever faced. Jose Aldo has only lost to the best, and this will determine pretty much if Volkanovski is part of the best. And I don't think he passes this test. So I mean, I have Jose Aldo. I think, of course, we have to look at that knee issue to make sure that's good. But I'm pretty sure, even if it wasn't bad, even if it was bad, he probably wouldn't back out of this fight because it's in his hometown of Rio, Brazil. So I mean, that's definitely concerning. But I think Jose Aldo, I think he takes this fight.
CG, what do you think here?
So I had the opposite stance when I initially started breaking down this fight. At first, I thought Aldo was going to win just because, Volkanovski, for the most part, his first couple UFC fights was primarily wrestling, 3.4 takedowns per 15 minutes. And Aldo has 92% takedown defense, some of the best takedown defense in UFC history. But you look at Volkanovski's last fight, he never took down Mendes once. He beat him with pace and forward pressure and just broke Mendes. And when you look at Aldo's last two losses, Max Holloway, what does he have? He has pace and forward pressure and never-ending cardio, the same attributes that Volkanovski has. Well, then I said, Max is 5'11". He's probably got the reach. Then I did some research. Max only has a 69-inch reach. Volkanovski at 5'6" has a 71-inch reach. So with the reach, with the forward pressure, with the never-ending gas tank, and Mendes is just he's so gritty and grimy. He's just so tough, man. Aldo is just, man, he's just wearing down. He really is. I mean, he beat Stevens and Moicano, but I feel like he had to overcome adversity in both those fights. I think Volkanovski's going to break him, and I think he's going to potentially retire another legend. I like Volkanovski.
Damn, Tyler, what do you think here?
Yeah, so one of the things that CG said that I kind of disagree with is that, Mendes is gritty and grimy, but he is to a sense, but
I meant Volkanovski was gritty and grimy, not Mendes. My apologies if I said that.
Okay, so Volkanovski used to wrestle in all of his matches until he finally faced a wrestler. His stand-up was better than Mendes. So he wasn't going to out-wrestle Mendes, so that wasn't the game plan for that fight. For me, I have a problem seeing how Volkanovski is going to win this fight. Yeah.
I don't think he's taking Aldo down. I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't think he's taking Aldo down at all.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I don't think he's going to take Aldo down. If he does, I think Aldo's getting right back up. And Volkanovski, he throws at a high pace, but he throws at a high pace versus Hirota, Young, Kennedy, Elkins. I mean, throw at a high pace versus Aldo, you're going to get hit back. And, I've been against Aldo his last 4 fights. I'm 2-2. The times before that, I thought he was going to beat Conor, he got knocked out. His next fight versus Frankie Edgar, I thought Aldo was going to win. He won that. So pretty much I'm 50-50 on Aldo fights for the last 5-6 years. So, I mean, pretty much take it for what it's worth. But I think Aldo is gonna piece Volkanovski up. I don't think he's gonna get the fight to the ground. If Aldo does, he's gonna get back up. And I think that he's gonna hit Volkanovski with something that he's never been hit with before, and it's gonna be how he reacts to that. And I mean, personally, I'll take Aldo in this fight. He's proven that he can handle the storm from a top-level fighter.
Yeah, I think my breakdown is very simple. I totally considered what CG basically explained, is that if Volkanovski can put that pace, clinch up Aldo a little bit, I think he may be able to wear him down, get into that second round, and then maybe with the striking get the best of him. I just think Volkanovski at some point is going to leave an opening. I mean, Chad Mendes, I believe he dropped Volkanovski at one point, right? I didn't.
He did.
Right in the first round. And again, if he leaves an opening for Aldo, Aldo's going to capitalize on that opening. I just think that Aldo is that good, and that's what concerns me. Again, there was nothing happening in that Jeremy Stevens fight early in that fight. All of a sudden, he capitalizes. Renato Moicano, it was a back and forth first round. Round 2, he capitalizes and just, he finishes quick. If it gets into the third round, then I can see Volkanovski, maybe winning that round with his pace. But by the same token, he would have had to win one of those first 2 rounds and beat Aldo by decision in Brazil. I just don't see that happening. So again, maybe I'm just scared of Brazil. I don't want to. I like these fighters going against the Brazilians, but I just don't trust them. So I think Volkanovski is in a great spot, but unfortunately, if he makes a mistake, Aldo capitalizes.
Well, and I think one thing that we haven't been considering is the fights versus Max Holloway. Aldo was winning both of those fights, and then Holloway took over in the third round. Okay, so Volkanovski, do we know if he has the knockout power to put somebody out like Aldo or the volume? I mean, he hasn't put out anybody besides Chad Mendes, who was coming off a 2.5-year layoff.
I think it's going to be death by accumulation.
Yeah, but
one single strike, he's going to slowly but surely break him down.
But his best win, other than Chad Mendes, was Darren Elkins, who cares about that? Like he's not near Jose Aldo's caliber. And Mendes was coming off a 2.5-year layoff. Was he the same fighter? We don't really know. So it's kind of hard to judge. So you don't know what you're getting with Volkanovski. With Aldo, you know what you're getting. Those first 2 rounds, he's probably going to have the advantage. Is he going to break in that third round, or is he going to last to the end of that round? If he lasts, he's getting the decision win easily. And because if the fight versus Max was a 3-round fight and he lasted a little bit longer, he would have won those fights. And this is a 3-round fight. This isn't a 5-round fight. So the accumulation before he breaks, is it going to happen before round 2? Because if not, I'm not confident that Volkanovski is going to put him out.
I just feel like Holloway broke him mentally and then broke him physically. And I think Volkanovski can do the same thing because of his volume, because of his pace, because he just doesn't go away. I feel like Aldo hit Holloway with his best shots. He was chipping away with the leg kicks. And then after a while, it just wasn't doing anything. Holloway kept on coming forward, and then Aldo was like,
no, and that's fair enough. But at the points where Max Holloway knocked him out, where he won the TKO stoppages both fights, there was 47 seconds left in the third round and 9 seconds left in the third round. This is a 3-round fight. So are we confident that Volkanovski is going to be able to do what Max Holloway did? I think that he's not going to be able to put him away in the same fashion that Max Holloway did.
I mean, I was at the last Holloway Aldo fight. I mean, it was a matter of time before Holloway put Aldo to bed. It was.
And that's fair enough, but the first 2 rounds were won by Aldo. And it might have been a matter of time, but Aldo was winning the fight at the point of the knockout.
First round was close. Holloway landed 25. Aldo landed 18. Aldo landed more in the second. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is this is a 3-round fight, not a 5-round fight. So I think that in that circumstance, I don't know if it took Max Holloway till the end of the third round, is Volkanovski going to finish the job faster? I'm not really convinced in that.
Yeah.
I think the last 2 fights. Yeah, I said I think that rounds factor that we can talk about, the 3 versus 5, is huge. I believe Aldo asked to not be put in any more 5-rounders, and he probably did it for a good reason.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
no, that's a good point, because he knew, like, with the 5-round fight, he didn't have that cushion, you know?
Yeah.
Just because, if he's feeling it in the third round, he knows that, he can just kind of maybe just make it go to decision, use his movement, evade his opponent.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm alluding to in this fight. In that fight versus Max, if it was a 3-round fight, he probably could have used the savvy to get it to a decision, and he probably would have won those fights instead of getting knocked out. And I mean, and it's in Brazil. You got the Brazilian judges.
That's a good point. I mean, if Volkanovski is going to win by decision, he has to beat him decisively. That's for sure.
All of a sudden, Ty, you believe in the Brazilian judges? I've been saying it the whole time.
I mean, Brazil's the one place that I'm convinced on it.
Yeah, I do agree with you. And I was about to say that, Trav. I agree. I read that somewhere that after that second Holloway fight, Aldo didn't want to. I believe he had an opportunity to be the headline on one of those fights. I don't know if it was the Stevens one or not, but he wanted the 3-round fight.
But what does that tell you, though? It tells you that his heart's not in it anymore.
He's
not going for the belt. He's not going to beat
or
that.
that he's smart and knows his own limitations.
Yes, that's what I would say. I would say he knows that he can't go 5 rounds.
Doesn't your motivation wear off when you know that you can no longer be the champ
anymore?
Maybe, but he's in a position where if he wins this fight, I think Ty, didn't we discuss this about a week or two ago? If Aldo wins this fight, he gets the next shot of Holloway?
No way.
Oh yeah, I think 100%.
Wait, who? Volkanovski or Jose?
Aldo.
If Aldo wins this fight,
they're not going to do it a third time. They're not going to do it a third time.
I think 100% he does. Who else is going to be next in line? Frankie Edgar?
And that's why we started this because it was Frankie Edgar, the other guy.
Yeah, I don't think Edgar deserves the shot. So Aldo's pretty much the next in line because he's cleared off everybody up to that point.
I think it would be Edgar.
I mean, who did Edgar beat to get there?
Nobody. Cub Swanson by decision in his last fight.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can make the case that he won.
It's Frankie Edgar.
That he won 8 of his last 10.
Like it's nothing.
That's how they're going to market the fight.
But I mean, a win versus Cub Swanson. So we're going to put Shane Burgos in a title fight? Edgar lost his fight before that.
No, I agree, but Edgar has more name recognition. I agree with you, but they're not going to feed Aldo to Holloway for a third time just so he can get absolutely obliterated in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
I
don't know if Holloway's going to go back to 145, to be honest, though.
Yeah.
That weight cut is tough. All right, we spent a lot of time.
Yeah, we did. The horse is dead.
Yeah, let's move on. CJ, I'm going right back to you. Jared Cannonier and Anderson Silva. We kind of talked about this fight right before we jumped on here. Let me just get those MyBookie odds out here. Cannonier on MyBookie is -145, and Anderson Silva on MyBookie is +115. So, CG, what do you think here?
I think the key line that you want to look at for this fight is fight goes to decision -170. And if the fight goes to decision in Brazil, who gets the edge? Because I'll tell you what, it was I don't even think it was in Brazil. I think it was in Brooklyn when Anderson Silva got the nod over Derek Brunson. And I personally thought that Brunson won that fight. I don't even think it was close. Brunson landed more strikes and takedowns, but lost the decision. So, if he's getting the edge in America, what kind of edge is he going to have in Rio? So if Cannonier wants to win this fight, I think he has to knock out Silva, which is going to be very tough to do because everybody who fights Anderson Silva, even Adesanya, they get a little starstruck. They get timid. They're going against the GOAT at 185. But I'll tell you what, man, I love Cannonier. I was on him heavily in his last fight against David Branch. People said I was crazy, but the fight went exactly how I thought it would. And he knocked out Branch in the 2nd round. Was able to weather that early storm. And I'll tell you what, man, Cannonier started off as a heavyweight, then went down to light heavy. At middleweight, he looks like a beast. So, he's only 5'11", but he has a 77-inch reach. Whew, tough fight. Oh, man. 44 years old, Anderson Silva. I think it's possible for Cannonier to, score the KO because Anderson still likes to get cocky and put that chin out there. Cannonier could definitely catch him. I'm not willing to bet on it, though. So this fight, for the most part, is going to be a pass. I think that Cannonier probably will win the fight either way by knockout or decision, but I'm sure the Brazilian judges won't see it the same way as me, so.
Yeah, and CG had to bring up UFC 208. That was the home to Randami. That's where Brunson and I was there. It was absolutely terrible.
That was the worst pay-per-view since this card, Steve.
Yeah, well, it may very well be. Tyler, what do you think here, Cannonier or Silva?
So in the lead up to this, I was on Cannonier 100%. I thought this was pretty terrible matchmaking for a Brazilian card to put Anderson Silva in this spot. But I was factoring that in off of his destruction of David Branch. What we seen a few weeks ago, David Branch is not a good fighter anymore. So it's kind of hard for me to assess how Cannonier really looked at middleweight. Yeah, he looked phenomenal, but he was fighting the shell of David Branch. So I can't really make a confident play on either side because I don't really know who Cannonier is. And I mean that's probably the best I can analyze it right now. I'm just really not confident on this fight. And I was all in on Cannonier until I seen David Branch's last performance. I'm kind of siding with Anderson now, using some ways to win this fight. But I'm just staying away from it personally.
Yeah. Trav, what do you think on this one? I kind of agree with CG, but I'm staying away from it. And so to that extent, what do you think?
I think the play here, the best play at least, would be Anderson Silva by decision. Last I checked, I saw that was like plus 400 or something like that. I think that's the best fight. I think it's KO or bust for Cannonier. I know I tweeted when this week started. I tweeted out. I said, is that kid? If you guys remember seeing the video of the kid that motivated Jared Cannonier before he fought David Branch, I said it was the kid that pretty much said you can do this, you can beat Anderson Silva, you can beat David Branch, you can beat Yoel Romero, you can beat everybody. I said if that kid is in Brazil, I'm gonna bet everything on Jared Cannonier, but I don't think he will make that trip. I just don't see Anderson Silva. Losing this fight if Jared Cannonier doesn't get a KO. That fight against David Branch with Cannonier was great. I was on CG's side with betting with going with Cannonier, thinking he was going to win that. But like Tyler said, that last fight with David Branch against Jack Hermanson just proved that David has some quit in him, and we don't really know. But like Chris said as well, Jared Cannonier looks shredded, absolutely shredded at 185. So Anderson Silva, who's he been knocked out by? It was Chris Weidman, but he was playing around. Jared Cannonier can't get starstruck pretty much when you're fighting Anderson Silva, and I think that's what Anderson Silva does to a lot of guys. He starstrucks people. I think in that Israel Adesanya fight, Anderson showed some fight, but there were moments in time where I think Israel Adesanya could have pushed the pace and really got Anderson Silva out of there. But because of who Anderson Silva is, he decided to hold back a little bit or not to. So I think with this fight, I think Jared Cannonier is probably the perfect opponent for if there is any one last little dance that Anderson has in him, one last little head movement that he has. I think this would be the fight to make Jared. This would be the only fight he can make an opponent like Jared Cannonier look silly. But other than that, it's clearly not the same Anderson Silva. I just think if Jared Cannonier doesn't knock him out, I don't think he wins the decision. And like I said, I think the best play is Anderson Silva by decision. But we've seen that Anderson Silva still can throw a few good punches, but like I said, I think Anderson Silva takes it. It's KO or bust.
And that line right now, Trav, is Anderson by decision plus 208.
Yeah,
which surprises me. I thought it'd be a little bit higher than that.
Yeah, some people's been betting it because, like I said, last I seen it was like plus 440. So people, like I said, it's KO or bust. One person that's knocked out Anderson Silva is Chris Weidman, and that was on Anderson playing around. So I don't know. Anderson is a pretty big head. He can take a few shots.
All right, so we're gonna finish this card off. Ty, I'm gonna throw this to you for the main event. Rose Namajunas is minus 105 on my bookie. Jessica Andrade is minus 125. And Thug Rose has a 65-inch reach. Jessica Andrade has a 62-inch reach. Thug Rose also has a 3-inch height advantage. So, Ty, what do you think here?
Yeah, I would actually like you to throw it to somebody else because I want to hear some other takes on it. Just
All
because right. I'm back and forth on it. I think both have ways to win the fight.
CG, go ahead.
I love Jessica Andrade. I think she's an absolute animal. And I think there's a funny dynamic in the women's strawweight division because obviously Rose can beat Joanna. Joanna can beat Andrade. But I think Andrade can beat Rose. And I think Tatiana Suarez can beat all of them. But when you look at the fight metrics, it's not even close. Andrade lands 6.6 strikes per minute. She lands 3.2 takedowns per 15 minutes. Rose has 45% takedown defense. I think wherever the fight goes, Andrade has the edge. And I think Andrade has evolved since her last loss to Joanna, the last time she had a shot at the belt. Beat Claudia Gadelha convincingly. And that's a fight that I bet on Andrade. I want to say Andrade was a plus 235 underdog and just dominated Claudia. Then she beats Tisha Torres and then knocks out Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I mean, that's a tough road back to the belt. And she did it. And I think she's going to take home the strap on Saturday night in Brazil. I like Andrade. I'm betting her along with Aldana in a parlay. So fairly confident in this fight.
CG, do you think that Rose beat Joanna second fight? Did Rose win the rematch?
It was very close. I give her the nod because I always believe that to take the belt away from the champ, you have to beat them decisively. And I'm not sure that Joanna did that. You know what I mean? I'm really not. I know Joanna landed more strikes, but I think Rose landed the better strikes. And Joanna was wearing the damage way more than Rose at the end of the fight. But it was very close. I mean, Joanna outstruck Rose 145 to 105, but Rose had the takedown. But I just thought that Rose, it was similar to Holloway and Poirier, right? I mean, Holloway may have landed more strikes, but he did not land the better strikes. And that's what it came down to. So I don't have a problem with the decision. When it's a close fight, give it to the champ. That's what I think. But I don't think Andrade's going to make it that close. I think she's going to make it pretty decisive. She is a bulldog. I love Andrade.
Yeah, I agree. I was sitting for that fight. We were ringside. I was with Sun Tzu and DFS Sniper actually watching that rematch. And I think I thought that Rose had it. I think Sun Tzu thought Rose had it. And I think Sniper may have given it to Joanna, if I remember correctly. But it was very, very close.
So Joanna respected Rose way too much in that last fight. Gave her a lot of space to work. Andrade is not going to give Rose any space to work. She's going to come forward the entire time, biting down in that mouthpiece, head down, just throwing freaking bombs. And if the takedown's there, Andrade's going to take her power bomber on her freaking head. Andrade is a beast. A beast.
I'm definitely not betting this fight. But in DraftKings, I'm going to play more Andrade. And I'll break it down from the perspective. I think that this is – I agree with what Trav just said. I think that Rose made a mistake coming to Brazil and giving Andrade the home court advantage. I think that's a mistake on her part. I don't know why she would do that. She could have called the shot, right? She's the champ. So wherever she wanted to fight, she definitely could have taken the fight. But you're letting Andrade be way too comfortable. And maybe that's how Rose is. Maybe she needs to be uncomfortable. And that's fine too. But I just think that those Joanna fights, I kind of agree with what CG said. The first Joanna fight, that's when she had the real bad weight cut. And again, I think she was compromised in that fight, and Rose was able to touch her chin. And I think because of that, I think Joanna came out in that second fight. Again, it was close. It was a very close fight. But I think Andrade's power at this point and her motivation, home court advantage, I just think there's just way too many things going against Rose here. So maybe it's more narrative than it is a skill thing. Because I do agree with what Trav said. It seems like Rose is kind of chameleon-like. She finds a way. You know, she has 8 submissions, and then she fights the champ Joanna and winds up getting a knockout. So, you know, maybe a little unorthodox in my approach to it, but I think Andrade having this at home is the difference for me. So, Ty, what do you think?
So if you look. So the dilemma I'm having is I think there's a clear path to victory for Andrade. She needs to take the fight to the ground. And I know that's different from what a lot of people think. Rose doesn't have great takedown defense. Andrade has the wrestling prowess that she could take this fight to the ground numerous times. So that's my dilemma. I think in every other aspect of the fight, Rose has the advantage. I think in the grappling, she has the advantage. I think in the striking, she has the advantage. Andrade is a brawler. Rose has pinpoint accuracy. She has better game planning. She beat. So you attribute the first fight with Joanna to the weight cut. I attribute it to she seen a flaw in Joanna's game plan that she executed, that she exploited and executed the technique. And if you see, even in the second fight, she landed that same punch 2 or 3 times. So I think that her game planning is pretty much flawless, and she can see holes in other people's games. Maybe, and it might be because of Pat Barry's in her corner, and they break down the fight footage, and he's a high-level kickboxer outside of the mixed martial arts world. So he could kind of see things, maybe point it out to her, and they can work on some techniques. So going back to what Trav alluded to, where she denied the fight closer to home and wanted to go in Brazil, I think that for one, you don't do that unless you have a confidence. So I think that she sees something in Andrade's game that she can exploit. For two, I think that it's shown in her career that every time that Rose is an underdog, she fights her best fight. When she's a favorite, she usually loses. And you can go back through her whole career, and when she's favored to win the fight, she usually puts up lackluster performances. In the fights that she's not expected to win, like versus Paige Van Zandt, she was an underdog. She took her down 10 times in the fight. And versus Joanna, she knocked her out, and she was plus 500 in the fight. So she likes the deck stacked against her. And I think that on Saturday night, I think that she's gonna beat Andrade. And I've kind of been going back and forth because my dilemma is her takedown defense is so weak, and Andrade could pull something and take her down numerous times and kind of win a decision. But right now, I'm kind of leaning towards Rose winning the fight.
I just noticed something that I think I have to share. We talk about her crappy takedown defense at 45%. She was taken down once by Michelle Waterson, but besides that, she has not been taken down since Carla Esparza back in 2014, where she was taken down 5 times. So that performance metric looks like crap, but it's overstated because of that one fight. Besides that one fight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fights, only been taken down once.
Yeah, but she hasn't really faced a wrestler that's wanted to take her down, though.
Torres goes for some takedowns. I know that.
Yeah, her take. Torres is a Muay Thai fighter, though.
That's true. Andrade's going to be going for it heavily. Plus, Andrade's 5'1". She has that low center of gravity, easy access to the legs.
Well, and I think one thing that we're not considering also is earlier in her career, Andrade had some cardio issues.
I was about to bring that up. I'm sure that going in the round 4, that gas tank and that pace will still be the same.
Yeah, and this is a 5-round fight. So if she comes out with a fury in round 1 and 2, how much is going to be left? And Rose is going to be fresh. She never gasses. And so, I mean, this might be one that if you don't want to bet it, maybe after round 3, see how Andrade's cardio is. And if you have a site that live bets, I don't know if my bookie does live betting, but we might want to check into it. But this could be one that you want to load up on Rose after round 3.
Now, let me ask you this. Andrade's first 7 fights in the UFC are at 135, right? So
Mm-hmm.
how much weight is she cutting to fight at 115? Does anybody know?
I don't know. I mean, she has a pretty small frame, so I don't think it's anything. I never heard about her having weight cut issues.
No, I haven't either, but it's just, she's She's very muscular for 115. So I'll just leave it at that. So
she's also a midget, though.
Yeah.
You know, so I think she didn't have any other options at that time, right?
yeah, well, there was no 125 and there was no 115, and then once the 115 opened, she went from 135 to 115, right? I think she has 7 fights at this point at 115.
So I'm not worried about the weight cut, and I know the cardio concerns. I think that's a thing of the past. I mean, she went 5 rounds with Joanna, and had had some issues figuring out Joanna's movement and pace and footwork, but I just feel like she continues to evolve. She gets better every fight. Jessica Andrade, let's do this. Make me some money.
All right, so that's another Brews and Bets. That was one of our longer episodes. Trav, I appreciate you coming on. You want to plug anything? Your Twitter handle? And
appreciate you having me. My Twitter handle, if you're interested, is divine_prodigy. You also, I guess, be on the lookout for black market picks. I do that with Leroy Stephan. If you guys have heard of him, that'll probably be out, if not tomorrow, then Thursday. But other than that, like I said, I appreciate you guys having me on. Very interesting, very, very, very good talking these fights with you guys, especially with these, like I said, these 3 minds that I respect. Hopefully, down the road, I can come back on here again. But like I said, just appreciate it, man. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Leroy actually has been on Brews and Bets before. It may have been before.
Remember one time I remember.
Yeah, and he also accuses me of stealing all his co-hosts. So
I don't think he'll like seeing this one.
Again.
I don't think he'll like seeing this one.
Yeah, make sure I'm gonna definitely make sure I send it myself. All right, so good luck everybody this week. I'll go out on a limb and just let you know I'm gonna definitely have Aldana in a parlay, and I know CG said it before. I think I'm gonna go Barcelos and Aldo in a parlay. I'm hoping Barcelos line comes down. But that's what I'm looking at this week. Good luck with your bet.
Thank you for watching, everyone. Be sure to follow us at Jersey Boys MMA on all forms of social media. This is the producer, Dave, and we really hope that you enjoyed the show. Please stay tuned for more Brews and Bets content.